Inside this video topic, we'll discuss again a very interesting concept about MySQL Stored Procedure, and that is how to create a parameterized stored procedure. Additionally, also we'll discuss the concept of in parameter mode. Let's go back to browser. So far inside this course, we have seen lots of informative concepts, lots of amazing things about MySQL stored procedure. Now this time, again I will discuss one more interesting concept, and that is how to create a parameterized stored procedure. So what basically it is, what is the syntax? So it's very simple. Let's go back to our VS Code editor. So here, so as we know that inside last videos, we have seen also the different methods. By the help of that, we can create a stored procedure. So for example, if I consider the last video topic, so where we had created list all users a stored procedure. So we can see that we are not passing any parameter while calling this stored procedure. But in this video, let's create a stored procedure where something called get single user data, and here we can pass user ID. So we can see that this is also a stored procedure. Again, this will be also will be a stored procedure, but in this case we can easily pass a parameter. So once we pass a parameter, on the basis of that we can go into the logical body of begin and end keyword, and on the basis of this condition called user ID, we have to pick only the specific informations of that user. So this interesting concept we'll discuss inside this complete video. Now here, to learn this amazing concept, let's go back to our database. Then I will go into SQL tab, or it's better, let's open a duplicate tab. So the first tab will be of the table, second tab will be of SQL tab. So inside the SQL tab, simply we have to use the concept of create procedure command, and by the help of that command, we can create our stored procedure. But here comes the trick that this time the stored procedure is not going to be very simple, because this time also we have to accept a parameter called user ID. So let me tell you that additionally, also we have to use one more concept here, and that is in parameter mode. So the parameters, what basically we accept into a stored procedure and will be used as a logical concept body inside begin and end block. So those parameters will be known as in parameter mode. As we can see that this user ID will be very useful, because by the help of that we have to fetch only single user information. So this is in parameter mode. So inside the stored procedure, parameter concept is very simple. What we are passing is parameter, but here we have three types of parameter mode. We have called in parameter mode, then we have out parameter mode, and then we have in out parameter mode. So what basically these are, so right now inside this video we'll only use this in parameter mode, and it simply means that what the parameter what we are taking inside the stored procedure, simply we have to use as a condition inside our begin and end block. So here this is a parameter called user ID, and this user ID we can use inside our query so that we can filter only a single user information. And one more thing about in parameter mode, that these are protected in nature. It means what the parameters we are passing inside a stored procedure, if they are in parameter mode, simply they will be protected. It means what the manipulations, what we do inside queries, inside begin and end block, it always returns the copy of that variable. Now let's get started to create our first stored procedure, and that will be known as a parameterized stored procedure. So here let's go into our database, go into SQL tab. So simply first let's change delimiter. So delimiter, put a dollar. Then here let's say create procedure. So create procedure, let's say single user data, and here inside this parenthesis, we have to accept a parameter, and remember that parameter will be in parameter mode. So here parameter mode call, we have the in, then a space. Here we have to pass the parameter name. So I want to put the name as user ID, and space, then its data type. So we know that user ID will be an integer value, so let's say int here. But in case, for example, if we have varchar, so in that case varchar, like varchar, and here we have to pass the length of that. For the time being, we're using only the user ID, so it is int here. Now then, here we have the begin and end block. After that, put delimiter, and finally delimiter and semicolon. Let's go inside this begin and block. So select here all from table name called users, where the user ID, it means if we go inside table, click on users, so we can see that here we have the ID. So ID equals to, and the dynamic value we have to get from this in parameter mode. So here it will be user ID with a semicolon. Now successfully, this is the complete logical concept of this stored procedure, which is containing a parameter. So if I type everything, click on this go button. And now finally, here we have created our first parameterized stored procedure. Now let's go into our database, click on routines here. And here we have single user data. If I click on execute button, and now we can see that it is asking for user ID, which is integer. We have to put a value. So for example, if I put, for example, it's a 3 here, click on go button, and now we can see that it is returning only a single user information. So instead of this execute button, if I go and let's open this SQL tab, so simply the same process like the call statement, then here it's a single. If I copy the stored procedure name, let's copy single user data, and here we have to pass the user ID. So for example, one with a semicolon, either control enter or click on go button, and now we can see that here we have the single user information. Now this is that how to use our create procedure command to create our first parameterized stored procedure. But if you're talking about this tool that how to create in manual way, simply let's go inside this routines tab, click on this create new routine, and here let's say read single user data stored procedure. So type equals to procedure, and now we can see that parameter. So inside directions, now we can see that here we have three mode, that is in mode, out mode, in out mode. So just we have to select in here. Here let's say ID, or we may call it as user ID. Type equals to integer, its data type. Then we have to go here, let's say begin, and here, and now here let's say select all from table name called users, where ID equals to the user ID, what we are taking as a parameter, put a semicolon, click on go button, and now we can see that successfully we have created one more stored procedure which is parameterized, which is taking user ID as a value. So here inside this list, let's click on this execute button. Let's pass, for example, 2 here, click on go button, and now we can see that successfully we are getting the single user data on the basis of user ID. So from this video now we have one more idea about this course, about this stored procedure, and that is how to create parameterized stored procedure. And additionally, also we have the concept of in parameter mode. Now in the next video, we'll discuss our two more parameters mode like out parameter mode and in out parameter mode. So friends, I hope that this video was informative and interesting. So please give us a thumbs up to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Now let's meet to our next amazing video. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.